Well, let me tell you this. We got the big, beautiful bill. You think we're doing good now? Just wait to see what happens. Tom Homan going to run the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen. Take it to the bank.
There is a growing sense, shared by Americans and observers overseas, that the United States has entered a new and more volatile phase, one in which violence is no longer an aberration, but a governing tool. At home, immigration enforcement has metastasized into something resembling an unaccountable domestic security force. Abroad, the same regime that presides over chaos on American streets is once again threatening catastrophic war against a sovereign nation. But in 2026, it crossed a line that should alarm anyone who believes citizenship is supposed to confer protection. 8 people have died in encounters with ICE so far this year. Among them were Minneapolis residents Alex Pretty and Renee Nicole Good, both killed in separate incidents less than a month apart. These were not anonymous cases buried in bureaucratic language. They were public killings captured on video, witnessed by bystanders, and immediately politicized by the highest levels of government. The official response was as chilling as the shootings themselves. Despite clear video evidence showing Pretty holding a phone when he was killed, senior figures in the regime rushed to portray him as a terrorist. He was labeled a would-be assassin, a domestic extremist, a threat that justified lethal force. The burden of proof was not on the agents who fired their weapons, but on the dead man himself. Only after public outrage mounted did the White House retreat slightly from its initial claims, recasting the killing as a tragedy while carefully avoiding any admission of wrongdoing. This pattern has become familiar. Violence first defended, then partially softened in tone, but never meaningfully investigated in a way that could restrain future abuses. Trump's own comments on the Pretty shooting reflected this contradiction. While distracting himself from the most extreme accusations, he nevertheless implied that the victim was at fault simply for possessing a firearm, even as American gun laws, enthusiastically defended by the same political movement, permit concealed carry. The message was unmistakable. Rights exist selectively, and they evaporate the moment federal power decides that you are the enemy.
If I offend anybody here tonight, I don't give a shit. Every day is an adventure, because I knew he's going to let us do what we do to not only secure the border, but remove millions of illegal aliens that Joe Biden led in this country. Sanctuary cities are pushing back against the Trump agenda. Sanctuary cities are sanctuary for criminals. You want to disagree with Trump policies? Okay, you have the right to disagree. But I said from day one, you cross that line and put hands on an ICE officer, you're going to jail. In Border Patrol right now, I've never seen it before in my career, and I've been doing this since 1984. If these protesters, these people with purple hair with a nose ring, live in their parents' basement, who don't work and want to go protest sites who are getting paid by people, if they think they're going to stop ICE or stop Border Patrol from doing their job, they got another thing coming. Because every time they double down, we're going to triple down. Well, let me tell you this. We got the big, beautiful bill. You think we're doing good now? Just wait to see what happens. Tom Homan going to run the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen. Take it to the bank.
Public opinion appears to be shifting in response to this brutality. Polling consistently shows that a majority of Americans believe ICE has gone too far, and dissatisfaction is no longer confined to liberal or progressive circles. Even conservative lawmakers have begun to express discomfort, urging investigations or calling for immigration agents to be withdrawn from certain regions. When Fox News headlines acknowledge slipping support for immigration enforcement, it signals more than a temporary PR problem. It suggests a legitimacy crisis. Yet the regime's response has not been reform, but rebranding.
Arrest as many people that touch you as you want to. Those are the general orders all the way to the top. Everybody fucking gets it if they touch you. You hear what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Less legals. We're going to look at shipping tractor trailer loads of that shit in here. So you catch what it's all about us now. It ain't about them. Professional, legal, ethical, moral, you know what we're talking about, legal, ethical, moral. You're on camera. But other than that, it's what we do.
The removal of Gregory Bovino, a senior official who seemed to revel in intimidation and authoritarian imagery, was presented as a corrective. His replacement, Tom Homan, brings no promise of restraint. On the contrary, Homan has openly boasted about plans for mass deportation on a scale never before seen in the United States, accompanied by rhetoric that treats millions of people as invaders rather than residents, neighbors, or workers. Changing the face of the policy does nothing to alter its substance. Coercion, fear, and state violence remain the point. What is unfolding domestically mirrors how the United States is once again conducting itself abroad. As criticism mounts over the actions of federal agents in Minnesota, the administration has escalated its confrontation with Iran, issuing threats that would have been unthinkable from a previous generation of American leaders. Trump's recent declarations, boasting of armadas, warning of devastation far worse than previous attacks, and demanding compliance under explicit threat of annihilation, read less like diplomacy than a prelude to war. The danger here is not rhetorical excess alone. Tens of thousands of US troops are stationed within range of Iranian missiles and drones. Regional allies are deeply anxious about retaliation, and European diplomats are bracing for a crisis that could spiral beyond anyone's control. Iran has made clear it will not negotiate under coercion, while simultaneously signaling that any American strike would be treated as an act of war, answered comprehensively and without restraint. This is how conflicts begin, not through careful planning, but through bravado, miscalculation, and domestic political pressure. Whilst negotiations are currently underway in Ankara, there is reason to suspect that the timing of this escalation is not accidental. When regimes face backlash at home, foreign threats have long served as a distraction, a way to recast internal dissent as disloyalty and criticism as weakness. The spectacle of aircraft carriers and ultimatums can temporarily drown out images of citizens bleeding on sidewalks in Minneapolis, or indeed calls for the release of the Epstein files. But history offers a grim warning. Such diversions tend to compound disaster rather than conceal it. Iran's reminders of America's recent wars are particularly pointed. Trillions of dollars spent, thousands of American lives lost, entire regions destabilized. These are not abstract figures, but living consequence of impulsive militarism. That the same leadership appears willing to repeat this pattern while simultaneously eroding civil liberties at home should be a source of profound alarm. What unites these domestic and international actions is a worldview that treats force as the primary solution to political problems. Immigration becomes a battlefield, protest becomes insurgency, diplomacy becomes extortion backed by missiles. In such a framework, accountability is weakness and empathy is betrayal. The result is a state that no longer sees its power as something to be justified, only to be exercised. The most unsettling question is not whether this period represents the darkest chapter of Trump's second term, but how normalized such darkness has become when citizens can be killed by federal agents and smeared as terrorists without evidence, and when war is threatened with casual bravado. Danger is no longer situational. It is systemic. A country that behaves this way is not merely feared abroad, it is feared at home. Once regarded, however imperfectly, as a partner by its allies, the United States is now widely distrusted, increasingly isolated, and often spoken of in diplomatic circles as a pariah state whose unpredictability poses a danger to global stability rather than a guarantee of it. The United States likes to imagine itself as a stabilizing force, a defender of law and order. Increasingly, it looks like something else entirely. A nation that has turned its immense power inward and outward at the same time, with little regard for the human cost. That combination, unchecked domestic force and reckless international aggression, is what makes the present moment so perilous. And unless it is confronted, it will not remain confined to rhetoric or isolated incidents. it will continue to claim lives both within America's borders and far beyond them. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.